Hey everybody, welcome to Live Coding with Jesse, and today we're going to go over, we're going to start with continuing where we left off yesterday, and then when I get to the question and answer session, I want to go over some changes that I made on project 2. So I had a meeting this morning and had some additional project requirements. So I'm not going to code anything, but I just want to go over a few things that I did because I think they'll be kind of useful. So sorry I didn't have my camera working when I started. It should be working now. I was just reading about a way to use your phone as your webcam. So if I can get that working, I might try that, and then maybe I won't have problems with the webcam anymore. And it should be a much better picture too, because I think I know I can record 4K video, so I have no idea how many megapixels my phone is, but it's definitely better than my built-in webcam on my iMac. Hey everyone, I see some people saying hi in the live chat there. So all right, let's get started, and let me bring over my my timer. Let's bring the timer over, and let's organize our windows so you don't have to flip around so much. So we'll let's bring over the code here, and we'll bring that over. There we go. So is this what we had so far? I think I accidentally searched. So let's go to I think that was the URL. Hopefully. There we go. That's it. Alright, so this is how far we got yesterday. It doesn't look like much, but we learned a lot about how this thing is structured. So the plan today is 2 Pomodoro sessions of code and then a question and answer session. I think when we do that, that gives us a nice about an hour and a half at least. Unless there's like no questions, and then we'll be at like an hour and 15 minutes. But I think that's a nice length for the show. It gives us a long enough time to get something done and get some questions in, but it's not so long that I think it seems like too daunting for someone to watch the replay. So I'm gonna start my first Pomodoro session. After this one's over, I'll take 5 minutes and answer some questions. So if you ask something in the live chat and I don't get to it, just wait, and I will get to it, after the timer's up, and then at the end I'll try to get to every question. So if you can stick around till the end, I'll definitely get your question answered. And No Beer noticed that I shaved, so yeah, I did. I was just really busy with work and my family and the nano degree program. I hadn't shaved in like a week because every time I got up to get ready for work, I was always running late from like staying up late trying to do this work. So anyway, so I finally got to shave, so that was nice. But let's get started. Let's see. We are today going to try to, first thing we should do is make this visible, right? Because we're not really going to know if we've done anything right unless this is visible. I mean, we can see we can see here in DevTools that what we've done is actually being inserted properly into the DOM, but for some reason we can't see it. So let's figure that out first. It hopefully should only take a few minutes. Then we're going to find those points where the data from the content management system is being inserted into the current menus, and we're going to take those and we're going to plug them in with that repeater component that we found yesterday, and we're going to try to plug them in our side nav where we want those fields to be. And hopefully it'll work out that all the links that were in the other menu are now going to be in our menu, and they're all going to look right. So if you're not familiar with what we're doing, this is the menu that we're going for, and I'll show you. I can show you the menu that we're coming from. So we're going to this. We want the links to be on the side here, also a search bar there. And when you click this, it'll actually open up the side nav. And then this site, which is taking a significant amount of time to load this time, you can see that was insane. We didn't even see anything but white for, I wasn't counting, but that was at least 5 seconds, maybe more. But anyway, this is our current navigation, and we want to go to this. Okay, so let's check out just right here in DevTools what's going on. And the first thing I want to do, let's see where. Sidebar. All right, we're up from here. MainContent. That's a bunch of stuff. There we go. So we're up here. Everything below here is the MainContent, which that's not what we're dealing with right now. We are dealing with the header, which I guess is inside of here. Yep, here's our header. Okay. Oh, you know what? I just remembered now that we never imported our style. So we're going to use Materialize, and we never brought it in. So let's do that. I suspect that once we do that, things are going to look a lot different. Let's see. I hope they look a lot different, because they should. So let's grab from Materialize the CSS and JavaScript. For now, I think I'm just going to load it from a CDN. I might think about, probably in the end, we're just going to host it ourselves, and we're going to pull out everything that we're not using to trim it down a bit. But for now, we'll go with the CDN, and then that way we'll have access to everything while we're developing. I think it'll be faster than having to go and grab things and put it in. I've tried it both ways. I've tried starting with nothing and pulling in what I want, and I've tried starting with everything and then pulling out what I didn't use. I think it does go faster if you start with everything. So Materialize, there we go. And getting started. Okay. Well, versions 1 is coming soon. I wonder how soon. But for this, I'm fine with using whatever version we have access to. Okay. So this is. Oops! I did not want to save. What? I must have hit Command S instead of Command C. So I'm going to copy that, and we'll put that in. No, I don't want to put it in here. I'm almost kind of thinking this over, just coming from like the React world. So I was working all morning on React, and just thinking of like importing our styles and things right into the component that we need. I'm wondering if it would be good to import the stuff right in this main nav component. That way, if there's any pages we don't use the main nav, I guess we wouldn't. No, you know what? That's nonsense, because we're going to end up using this throughout. So we're going to use these styles. So if I was only going to use these styles for the main nav, it would make sense. That whole thing might not have made sense. I was just kind of thinking out loud. But basically, I was thinking that if I put the styles that I needed just in that component, then I wouldn't load them on pages where I'm not using that component. But I'm probably going to use that same header on every page, and I'll probably use these styles from Materialize for a lot of other things. So I'm just going to put it in main master test. Oops, not that one, this one. Okay, so we can see everything else that we have. I'm going to put these right now below. This is quite a large, there we go. I'm going to put it right at the bottom, so that way I know we're going to override a lot of this. And then whatever custom styles we need to use, we'll put it under these to be able to override the things and Materialize. Sorry, excuse me. And that should be good. Hopefully, we can get rid of a lot of the styles that are already in use. So I mean, we saw like I know I saw custom styles being imported. Let's see. Yeah, here. So we have a lot of different styles coming in. You can see at one point I actually went in and I tried to clean this up. So we have like all these bundled. I think it was interesting. What I found was that there wasn't. It actually loaded more slowly when I bundled them all together. So that's why these are commented out now. So I'd like to test it again and see what happens. Because that was kind of odd that, you know, they're like that. And I went through and I minified a lot of these. So a lot of these are the minified versions, even if they don't say min. So, but we'll go through, like later on after we get it looking like we want to, we'll go through and try to get rid of as much as we can. Alright, so that should have loaded. Let's refresh. Whoa. Alright. Okay. So it's looking pretty bad. But we have something on the screen at least. So we can see that we have, you know, we have some of these links. We have this is an SVG. It's supposed to be the Facebook icon. Okay. So what we have, I do have some styles that I did not import. It just slipped my mind until now that I had made some custom styles for that header. I didn't bring those in, so I need to bring those in. I need to check to see if I did any JavaScript that I need to bring in as well. And that should help get these, you know, down to normal size and get our colors right. However, we still have, I think we'll still have some work to do here because we have some weird stuff going on. I suspect that, well, we'll see what happens when I bring in the other styles, but I suspect that maybe there's some conflicts in, you know, maybe there's some really specific CSS selectors in the custom CSS that was already on this site. Maybe they used important a lot and it's overriding some stuff. So we'll have to deal with that. The tricky part is we have to deal with it in a way that doesn't mess up other parts of the site. So it's gonna get I don't know, it's gonna be touchy. It's I don't know. I think it'll be fun though. I know at my meeting earlier when I told everyone in my department that I started working on this, they were all excited. So that's cool. I like to work on projects like that. So where are we at? Main nav. I guess I can import it here. I was once again trying to decide whether I should just import this here, but I probably have some styles that I'll end up using. So what we need to do is find, here we go. Here's what we have for the for that nav. So if you remember yesterday, we pulled the markup for it, but not the style. So let's grab our CSS, and it looks like most of this, I'm just going to copy and paste all of it right now. It's not that much. There's some stuff that I don't need yet, but I will need later, like the footer, and then the loaders. I might keep the loader. We'll see. I don't know that it would make sense on this site. I use it a lot when I have sites that have like client-side navigation, but I'm not sure how well it would work out. We'll see. Scroll to top, slide out. Okay, yeah, most of this makes sense to keep. So let's pull this over and let's make, oops, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong place. I have a lot going on over here on the screen. I'm wondering if we can make, I wonder where the rest of these files are housed at. CSS. There we go. Alright, this looks like the place. Alright, so let's add a file in here. New file. What should we call this? I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. New design. Alright, we'll call it that. Not very creative, but it'll work for now. I was thinking about putting something like Jesse's awesome theme or something, but it's not. It's a university site. I don't really want to mess with that. Okay. Cool. I like how that looks. It's a little bit different than Atom, just how things get highlighted, and it's not bad. I think I want to try to match my theme that I use in Atom with the theme I use in Visual Studio Code, since I'm used to it. Yeah, it looks a little weird sometimes. So I've been using this other theme for a long time, for years. Alright, so here's our CSS. Let's check out the JavaScript. Let's see if we have anything that's going to apply. Okay, so I have this. I like to put this on all of my sites, and at least all the ones that I'm using jQuery with, and it just keeps the copyright date current. And you know, everybody puts their copyright date in the footer. Let's see. Scroll to top. Scroll to top. Modal. You know, we do have some things that I'll need to use. Yeah. So I have those links in the top nav. When you click them, it automatically opens that side nav. So I'm definitely gonna have to do that. Although, let's see. I'll have to check. At one point, Materialize changed their API when it comes to modals. So I can't remember if I did this before or after that change occurred. So if the modal's not working, the first thing I'll check is, you know, how we're doing this. And I'll check the Materialize docs, because I had that happen on a few of my sites when I went to update to newer versions of Materialize. Alright, let me make sure that I copied that. Alright, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to make a custom JavaScript file. So let's see where we're bringing in the JS vendor. Well, I'll find there's a JS file, so that'll work. There we go. Alright. So let's make a new file. Let's call this new design.js. And then we'll copy that, save. All right, now we just need to pull these in. So I'll just, oops, I don't want, I'll copy this and I'll make it new design.js. Okay, so now we're bringing in our JavaScript, and let's find our CSS. And let's, I want to bring this down below. So yeah, here's our CSS. Oops. Oh, this is right. I didn't make it yet. New design.css, and let's do the same thing with our JavaScript. And it'll be better. We'll have all of our stuff all together right here at the bottom. It'll be easy for us to find it. Okay. Not indentation and stuff is not pretty right now. Oh, what the heck? I don't know. I gotta change my settings here. My tab key is set to actually tab instead of 2 spaces like I usually have it. So I need to do some work on that. All right. So now let's refresh and see what we have. Okay. A lot better. Not what we want yet, but it's a lot better. Okay. Yeah, our side nav's not working. Let's check our console and see what errors we have. All right, a lot of stuff. Wow. Wow, that's huge. Okay. Okay, we don't have the image. That makes sense. Velocity is not defined. Mismatch function. And then side nav is not a function. Okay. Alright, so we got a lot of stuff going on. Okay, I just checked the live chat. Umberto says, do you have jQuery imported above Material.js? I don't know. Let's check that out. Yeah, actually we do. So we have this above. Let's check the Materialize docs and see if we need a certain version of jQuery. Wow, okay, so it's saying jQuery 3.2.1. I don't want to have to use multiple versions of jQuery. I don't really know what the compatibility is. I mean, we could try to pull in this jQuery and see. You know what, I'm a little bit worried too about this side nav is not a function. So let's check out the documentation. Here. Side nav, there we go. Okay, wow. So that is in there. It's still side nav. Interesting. Well, all right, let's check on that modal right now while we have the docs open. Okay, I do have the newer. Do I have the newer? Yeah, so we initialize it with .modal. Open and close. Okay. It should be all right then. Okay. All right, this is going to be... It's going to be some work. All right, well, let's just go through... Let's check what version of jQuery I was using and what version of Materialize I was using on this other site here. Okay, so this was that that demo site that I showed at the beginning that had the version of the header that we want. I'm gonna check. I'm hoping that in somewhere I have a version number. Maybe I'm pulling it from the CDN here. Oh, it's possible that the code I just copied over the JavaScript has some ES6 stuff that's not working. I'll have to double check. Materialize, okay, 98.2. We could try pulling this version of Materialize in to see if this works better with what we have. I mean, I'd rather use the newer version if I can, but just to get things working at first, to try to narrow down the problem, I'll bring this in. And then, oh, comment didn't work. I'll have to check. What's the hotkey to comment in Visual Studio Code? I don't know. What am I showing this? Oh, I'm showing this as plain text. Maybe that's why. Let's highlight this as HTML. Yes, there we go. Now let's see if the comment works. Okay, now it works. That makes sense. Okay, let's try this then. Hopefully this address works for the CDN. I don't see why it wouldn't. And now, let's give it a restart. And that'll be the last thing we do before I set the 5-minute timer. Wow. I think we actually have more errors now. Okay, we did get rid of at least one thing that was up there. So maybe we don't have more. Maybe they're just in a different order this time. Load is not a function. I should check to see how many of these errors are happening anyway. And yeah, actually, we'll do that after we do our 5 minutes of question and answer. I'm just going to comment out the things that we've imported, and I'm going to see how many errors we have just naturally, because some of these may not even be our fault. All right, so let's take 5-minute break for questions. I'm just going to scroll up to the top of the live chat and go on down the list, do as many as I can. James says, hi there, what are you working on? Just came in here. We have an existing site, so franciscan.edu is our existing site. It's built on a really old content management system. It's .NET framework based. The system's called Ectron, and I have to work within that system to try to make it look nicer, be more user-friendly, and most importantly, load faster. So right now, we're working from the top down basically, and we've started with the header. Actually, the next thing we might do is the footer, and then we'll work on the middle. We'll see. But we just started with the header and working on the side nav as well. And so we have... Sorry, this is a big yawn. I don't know why I'm yawning so much. I got to sleep finally last night. So anyway, we have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, C#, some .NET template things that I don't really know enough about .NET or Ectron to know whether or not this is Ectron specific stuff or whether this is stuff that's common to everything built with .NET. I don't really know, but we've been working through and trying to figure it out. And I'm going to try to make the best of what we can with this site to try to buy us some time until I can clear out the schedule. Well, really, my boss can clear out my schedule so I can redo the site completely. Cyrus Manny says FreeCodeCamp is amazing. Yeah, it is, isn't it? And I say that not to say myself is amazing, but everybody, the organization as a whole is amazing. A lot of awesome volunteers just doing great stuff. Oh, okay, he also says, I'm doing my intermediate projects. Check it out. Do you have advice for someone who's starting in FreeCodeCamp? My advice if you're starting with the FreeCodeCamp lessons is do a little bit every day. It's much better to work for an hour or a half hour every day than to once a week, do a large chunk. Like, even if you did 8 hours, let's say every Saturday, you're much more likely to remember and retain the knowledge if you did a little bit every day instead of just one large thing. I mean, it's kind of like the same thing as working out, right? If you worked out a little bit every day, your body's going to like that better, and you're going to be healthier in the long run than if you just did a crazy workout once a week. For one thing, you're going to be really sore if you try to do it like that. But your brain, I think, is the same way in terms of a little bit of practice frequently is better than a lot of practice infrequently. So that's my advice. That's my main advice. And other than that, just stick with it. And I would say try your best to do the exercises on your own first, because you can definitely find answers for everything. You can find it out there. But I don't know, you're losing something if you just try to get answers from other people too quickly, right? Programming is, it's not necessarily just about knowing syntax and things like that, but it's problem solving. If you're a good problem solver, all that other stuff can be figured out. You know, that can be looked up. But if you have all the syntax memorized, but you're not a good problem solver, you won't be good. You won't make good things, because every time you're faced with a new problem, you won't be able to solve it. So anyway, those are my. If I thought about it more, maybe I'd have better advice for you, but just kind of off the top of my head, just a little bit every day, and try to do as much as you can on your own. Don't let yourself get stuck on one problem for a really, really long time. Like, if you're stuck on one algorithm for days, then I'd say, just move on, right? But don't give up after 5 minutes, right? And I mean, it'll be up to your level of patience, I guess, to decide at what point exactly you would try to get help. But I think you just get more out of it if you really try to do the work yourself. Okay. All right, I was just looking. I was almost to the bottom of the live chat, so I just wanted to scan it really quick to see if there's anything else that I should answer right now before we move on. Okay, this is useful. John Hansen says, you can just update to the latest. jQuery is fully backwards compatible. That's awesome. John also asks, have you ever used the step function built into Chrome Developer Tools for JavaScript debugging? It helps pinpoint. Yeah, actually, I have used it. I don't use it often. My fallback is always console log, right? I know everybody says that there's better ways to do it, but it's just when you have a bug and you're frustrated, that's not really the time that you want to try out something new and have even more trouble trying to figure out a new technique. So you just fall back on console log. But anyway, there's so much stuff going on here that actually might be useful. All right, let me start up my Pomodoro session again, and let's. I just thought of this. I had my live chat on the screen on the side, and so I'm constantly looking to the side. I'm never really looking at the camera. So now I'm going to move my live chat up to the top of my middle screen, my main monitor, and then that way it'll be easier to just appear like I'm not talking off to the side all the time, and I'll be more in line with the mic. So, all right. Let's see. Oh, okay, I know what we're going to do. I'm very curious to see which of these errors is there no matter what we do. If anybody listens to Spotify, the Throwback Thursday playlist this week, it was a good one. It reminds me of when I was in probably 6th grade, 7th grade, something like that. So a lot of memories of former days. And Spice Girls were a big deal. There were 3 Spice Girls songs on there, so I remember how much everyone loved them. Interesting. It's possible that I removed Carousel. I removed the code for the Carousel, but didn't get everything. Let's check this out. Hero slider, Carousel. What line is that? 1461. Yeah, I can definitely get rid of that because we don't even have that on the page anymore. All that stuff. Okay, and main content. So it's the end. It's at the end of the main content. I don't know if it's gonna let us check this out in this file, but it's worth a shot. What's this, main master? Yeah, let's scroll down. No, we'll have to check out main content, that component. We'll do that later. I'm not worried about it, but at least we saw that, in fact, a lot of the errors are probably caused by what we're trying to bring in. All right, let's try then to use, let's try to go with a newer version of Materialize, and let's bring in a newer version of jQuery and see if we can, I don't want to load two at once, so let's see where that other version was. So much stuff. Where are they pulling that in? Whoa. Maybe I'm not bringing jQuery in anywhere. This was commented out. That's interesting. It's possible that jQuery is being brought in somewhere else. Let me check, because I don't know why I would have completely commented out jQuery. Let's see. What the heck is this? Yeah, whoa, jQuery cycle 2. I'm not sure what that is. And this is, okay, that's just our Materialize. That's Facebook stuff. Interesting. Let's go to our network, JavaScript. jQuery UI. Here we go. So we do have jQuery. I have no idea what version of jQuery this is. jQuery 1.10.1. I don't know where this is being brought in at. Alright, let's check our check this out. jQuery.min.js. It's in the head. We should be able to see this. Why aren't we seeing this? Okay, I guess it's being brought in by something in here. MetaData. Let's check out where this metadata is coming from. Metadata one. Actually, let's check this out too and see. there we go. Metadata 1 is coming from here. Default content. Okay, so we have default. All right, I'm checking the live chat real quick, see if anyone said anything. Okay. I'm not sure what's getting pulled in here. I mean, I assume that this was where everything was getting pulled in from. Could check it again. Okay, so this favorite shortcut icons is this here. So between viewport and favorite shortcut icons, everything is getting pulled in by this. That's what I assume. So all of this. So all of this is getting pulled in from somewhere else. Interesting. Okay. Alright, so Umberto says he's never seen that, so he's guessing that it's something from my CMS. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to try one more thing. Oops. I don't really want that. I just want that, and oops, let's see. Wow, there we go. Let's see where else we can find this. All right. Okay, filter tree. Wow, this is in a lot of places. All right, I don't think the tests, these seem like they're all tests, so let's scroll up a bit. Tests, templated form control. I'm gonna try this one out. Okay. This does look like a lot of what was being... Yeah, you know what? This is not... I don't think this is being used anymore, because I've removed this code, unless there's some part of the site that is still being used that I haven't found, which is possible. But in any case, this is not where that's being brought in from. You can see this site's kind of a maze with all the stuff going on here. Swap master, listing. Alright, these all look like they're tests. Page layout. Whoa. Alright, let's find page layout. Just feel like following a trail here. Wait a second. Why is that already in there? There we go. Alright. Being able to search through all the whole project at once is so useful. Alright. I think this is not what we're looking for. Alright, so let's go back to what we had before. Which were we looking at? Here. And before we were looking for jQuery. This is what we want to find. What do we get? So page layout, pbtest.aspx, and then CMS login. We could try CMS login or pbtest. All right. You would think that a test page would not be something live, but this is the file structure on this is weird in the names of files, so I'm not going to take for granted that that is probably not anything live. All right, let's try it out. Alright, the last one we'll try. I think it was that. Yeah. Alright, let's see. Actually, now that I think about it, I would have all the login stuff here. So let me open this up in an incognito window so that I get rid of all the login stuff. I mean, I probably should worry about the login stuff at some point because people are still going to have to log in, but most people won't. So for now, just to make troubleshooting easier, we're going to try to not have all this stuff load. Hopefully it doesn't load for users who aren't logged in. There we go. Wow. That's interesting. Alright, let's check out elements, jQuery. Wow, it is still loading this. Oh, that's interesting. It's not in there anyway. You know what? Those test files were actually, now that I think about it, they were probably testing what gets rendered. So that's not where we want to look anyway. We're interested in where this metadata is. Sure, are we bringing this in here at all? No, I forgot. We're bringing it in from the other place. Okay. Default content ID. Okay. I'm not sure. I'm not sure right now where that is coming from. So yeah, let's try to do something, and then I can search for that later on. Actually, let me see. Umberto's saying a lot of stuff, and I know that he knows C#. So let me check out what he's saying here. It says, whoa, are they importing them in each page individually? This one is not using master. That's a relief to hear that it's not being used. No wonder people don't like .NET. MVC is much better organized, in my opinion. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, it's the organization of a lot of stuff is not great. A lot of our older stuff is just not great. So it's not even necessarily the fact that it's .NET. It's just there's a lot of stuff going on top of like the Ectron system, and then we had it modified. I mean, I wasn't here for all this. From what I've heard, when it was first put in place, it was then modified by the company that set it up with some custom things. Then people that worked here tried to patch it up and fix it and make it do other things. And so there's a lot of stuff going on, and there's no consistency in naming or anything. It's there are literally pages that someone like went in and viewed source and copied all this stuff and then used that as the template for a page, and then popped in. So it's just weird. There's weird stuff going on. So we're gonna run into stuff like this. So, but I mean, I you know, the whole point of this stream, like I frequently say, is just to see what it's like, you know, what my day is like. And I imagine I'm not the only developer that has to come in and work with legacy systems and, you know, can't just start from scratch. So the last project and the project before that, we were able to basically start from scratch and just build it up, and that's awesome. We can make all the decisions on how we want to build it. Unfortunately for this one, we can't, so it's definitely, it's fun to try to have to hunt for things and see how it was done. As long as I can find it in the end, it's fun. But it can make things slow and frustrating. All right, so let's try bringing in another version of jQuery, and let's just see what happens. So I think I have Materialize. Where's it at? It's below here, huh? Yeah. So I Materialize here. I guess I can get rid of that, and I can get rid of that. And they had, whoops. Under getting started, I think they had a link. Yeah. So let's just use this for now, since that's the one that they were recommending. And I don't want to, like, in production, use 2 versions of jQuery, but I just want to see what we can do right now to get things at least working a little bit, and then try to mess around from there and see if we can get something that works. No, it's not working. Oh, okay. We got some different things now. I do wonder why we're getting some of this stuff. Oops. I wonder where this is coming from. Interesting. This shouldn't be pulled in right now, right? Maybe the stuff that we put in down here is pulling this in still. Where we at? Not the script stuff. Oh, we're not in the main one. Sorry. I was looking at the wrong thing here. We need to go to the main nav. So actually, I think, yeah, it's probably coming from here. Right? We're still pulling these in. Okay. Let's fix this. Okay. Yeah, I think it's this. We've got allies. Okay. Actually, it shouldn't be, right? Where do we put this at? So this is inside the header, so it should not be outputting anything outside the header, right? So this is where it ends. Alright, my timer is up, so I'm going to finish this up in just a minute. Yes. I just want to see what is over here. I think what was probably happening is that side nav takes up space, and then the JavaScript in Materialize pushes it over, and that JavaScript, we're getting an error and it's not running, and so this is staying out, so it's pushing everything over, and so that's why, I mean, this button doesn't work, right, because this never initializes. Since everything's pushed over, that's why this is going off the side there. So I think that's our problem. Our main problem is the JavaScript just is not running, because it looks like all the CSS is fine, right? We're still getting, I mean, we're getting some weird stuff from what's already there. So you can see on hover, it's changing to blue, which it shouldn't do. But other than those few things, our CSS is fine. So it's just the JavaScript that's not running. Okay. And can I try? Let's try. I'm going to try this with our new version of jQuery and see if it makes a difference. Whoops. Okay, no difference there. And last thing, and then I'll be done. Let's not use this version of jQuery, and instead let's uncomment that. Still not working. Although actually this is, I had forgotten that this is the way it works, but whatever version of jQuery we load last seems to be the version that it's trying to use. So that's good to know. I want to get rid of this because really, I mean, this is the only error that we're getting right now. So I'll have to figure out where this is and remove it. Yeah, I was just checking to see if it wasn't, that Carousel wasn't loading anywhere else, but I don't see it. Okay, all right, now it's time for questions. And I think I got through a lot of them, so it probably won't be a very long question and answer session. So if you have a question, you think about asking it, put it in there now, because once I get to the bottom, I'll probably go on for like 3 minutes longer than I should, and then I'll end and turn the stream off. But I don't want you to miss out in case you want to ask something. So if you're not interested in the question and answer session, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back tomorrow, so hopefully you can join in then. If you don't have a question but you are knowledgeable and like to help answer questions, that would be awesome. It's definitely way better when we get a variety of opinions and answers, right? I mean, we can't all be experts at everything, so it's better when we have people that know about different areas. All right, so let's go. Oh, you know what? I just remembered. I told you all at the beginning that I was going to show you what I did on Project 2 because I thought it was really interesting. So let me I'm only going to spend at most 5 minutes on this. So I'm setting my 5-minute timer so I don't keep going for too long. And let me show you as quickly as I can what I've done. So here's our service request form. Okay, and I've added in a few things. So now they're automatically, if you mark a field as required, an asterisk is going to be there. So that's I don't know. It's a simple improvement, but I'll show you how I did it in React. I mean, it's kind of cool. It's not super complex, but I just like how it's done. Also, I've added this. If you click photography, now you have 2 more required fields that pop up. And some of them don't, and some of them do. But this was some feedback I got earlier today that the video people and the people in charge of photography both want more information. But it doesn't apply to everything. So I thought that was kind of cool. So I just want to show you. Oh, the other thing that I did was I changed the field, the validation. So I don't know if you remember. I think this happened once before. If I were to do something like this and have a space, it would have marked the name as being invalid. So it wasn't obvious from the name of the validation that it would do that, but it did. So I had to change it from like alpha to is words, something like that. And if you change it to is words, then it lets you put spaces. So a lot of these I just removed the validation completely because there really wasn't anything built into Formsy that would fit, because really in these, primary target audience, they could type a paragraph that had numbers, letters, special characters. At that point, what am I really trying to validate there? And remember, right, the validation client side is really nothing to do with security because people can get around it. It's more just to be helpful to the user. So anyway, so I decided to take off the validation except for some obvious places like email, phone. Actually, I took it off of phone too, because somebody might want to put their extension here, so they might write ext period and then a number, which would be invalid. So anyway, so I took it off of a lot of them. But it's really nice that it will be on email though, and then that way it'll force people, if they accidentally mess up their email or something, I mean, it won't check if they misspell something, but at least it'll, if they left out a dot or something really important, it would let them know. Alright, so here's how I did it. Whoops. Where am I at? Okay. So I've added in the data for the checkboxes. This is the coolest thing I did. So I'm going to show this just to make sure I get it in. I've added in this conditional fields. That's an array of objects, and you see the objects are exactly the same data that I'm passing in up here for the other text boxes, right? So I've added into the service request form here where we have checkboxes. Let me go up. Right, so here's where we're pulling in the checkboxes. And I'm trying to get some more space here so y'all can see. So within this, right? We're checking for all the data in here, the checkbox data in here, and we're looping over that. And when we get down to here, I check to see if there are conditional fields. If there are conditional fields, then I check to see, let's see, this state form label name to lowercase. Oh, okay. I check to see if the checkbox is checked. That's what this does. Okay, it's not really obvious right away, but that's what this is doing. So it checks the checkbox, and so if there are conditional fields for that particular checkbox data, and then if the checkbox is checked, then it renders everything that's under conditional fields. So since it's an array of objects, we can do a map on there, and then we map and we just pull in that same formsy text component that we've used at the top for the for the name, email, and all that, and then we just pass in our props. And since we did it the same way, like this is almost completely the same. I've added some different styles just because of where they're at in between those checkboxes, and I've also added in for the required. We have for the floating label text, it's field required. If it's true, then we do field name plus an asterisk. If it's false, we just put field name. So that's how I did those asterisks as well. Yeah, so that's how I ended up doing it. I tried a couple different ways before that didn't work, and then it finally hit me that this was the simplest way and it would work, and I can't believe I didn't think of it sooner. So I actually tried like passing in all of this stuff as data in a string, which was ridiculous and obviously didn't work. And I tried putting this in our icon checkbox thing, but then I would have to been passing information back and forth about the state of those text fields, right? Because remember, they're controlled components. So right, we're putting in the value, whatever gets typed in there goes into state, and then the value of that input comes from state, right? So I'd have to pass that back and forth from the parent component, which was service request.js. So that was ridiculous as well, when the simple thing was just to put it in there. Unfortunately, that was the third thing I thought of, but it was still cool to go through here and just kind of see what's possible and not possible. So anyway, just thought I'd share that with you all. It's all on GitHub now, so if you want to check it out in a little bit more detail, you can do that. All right, now I will go to the questions, and let's see. I got to figure out where I left off at. Okay, Carlos asked what version of jQuery I'm using. I assume that you saw, Umberto says looks like 1.1. Yeah, so there are multiple types. So there was, I commented out 1.11 something, and then so it was falling back to an older version, 1.10 something. So those, evidently I was using 1.10 without realizing it at first, and then we tried a version 3. Nothing gave us the result that we wanted, so I'll have to do some more troubleshooting. Let's see. Okay, Evo says, or Ivo, I'm not sure which way to pronounce that. It's IVO. Says, hi Jesse, long time no see. The good old memories working with ASP.NET in school still haunt me to this day. Hey, I just noticed my camera didn't freeze up at all during the stream, so hopefully it lasts. And I'm still going to try to use my phone next time, but I'm glad I didn't have to restart it. All right, so Abdul Aziz says, "Hi Jesse. Is it not possible to work with the computer? I see you are working with two computers. Another question is, what is the difference between FreeCodeCamp and GitHub?" Okay, so Evo answered to saying GitHub is a code repository storing code, and FreeCodeCamp is community of developers. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? You can store your code using Git on GitHub. Yeah, and FreeCodeCamp has a lot of different things going. I think the main thing it's known for is its courses, so it's coding exercises. But there's also a lot more going on now. So they have a really active forum. They have Medium publication, so lots of blogs. And then, of course, we have the YouTube channel now that's really picked up. I mean, we have a lot of videos every week. And, yeah, so it's just, we got a lot going on now. And then there are also groups, FreeCodeCamp groups that meet up frequently. So all over the world. So it's a lot. We got a lot going on. And also, I don't understand what you mean by your first question about working with two computers. Are you saying? I'm trying to see if you can see my other computer in the background. If that's what you're talking about, I do mainly just work with one computer, and that's fine. One computer with 3 monitors, and then the computer behind me is just an old Windows laptop connected to an external monitor, so I don't go crazy trying to do things on one screen. And I just use that for testing. And in fact, something happened, and it isn't connecting to the internet anymore, so it hasn't been able to connect to the internet for at least 6 months, so I really haven't even used it. And I think I'm better off because it's so old. I'm afraid it'll get a virus if I try to connect to the internet anyway. It's just, and it's super slow. So I don't really need to use it that much anymore because I have BrowserStack for testing. And it's faster for me just to open BrowserStack on this computer and test than to get that thing started up and connected. Anyway, I'm assuming that's what you were referring to. If not, let me know and maybe clarify a little bit more for me. NovaGlow asks, what kind of degree or training did you get to become a developer? Okay, so my training was for the most part informal. I have a video on my channel, the link's in the description, on how I became a front-end developer. So if you want a more in-depth answer, I think that's maybe like, I don't know, a 10 to 15 minute video of me talking about it. But basically, other than a little bit of training in HTML and CSS in high school and one programming course in college where we use C++, all of my training has been just online, either taking mostly free courses online, reading blogs, reading free JavaScript books, documentation, things like that, and just learning by trial and error on a lot of projects. I was lucky enough to have basically the role of a subcontractor for a lot of things, so I got a lot of work doing just so many different things, relating to websites. Everything from writing blogs for companies, doing SEO work, all the way to JavaScript stuff. And I get paid for that, and I was able to spend a lot of time learning, and I didn't have to worry about billing clients or trying to market myself or going to meetings or anything like that, because I had someone else that was doing all that. I got paid a little less because of it, but it freed me up to spend a lot of time being able to learn and get paid while I was doing it. So that's mostly where I really went through a lot of my learning. Now that I'm employed full-time as a front-end developer, I learn a lot while I'm going through projects, and sometimes if things are a little bit slower, I can spend some time like doing more targeted learning, so doing some FreeCodeCamp exercises or catching up on videos from from conferences that are on YouTube and things like that. Sometimes I'm able to take some time, you know, maybe like on my lunch break or something, I watch some tutorial videos. So just here and there, I pick things up, you know, when I need it. Although I am taking a Udacity Nano degree course. That's about the closest thing to formal training that I've had. So anyway, like I said, you can watch that video too if you want to hear some more about it. And I didn't mention I just looked at your question again. You asked what kind of degree I had. I have a degree in business, so it's not really related to computers. Whoa, Evo. Evo just had a great idea. I love this idea. So Evo says you can also try to hack it by overwriting the jQuery.min.js file in the UX folder, but that is just the ultimate hack. I like that. That is like, it's a little bit sneaky, but it's so simple. That's like I still would like to know where it's coming from, because it'll always bug me if I don't find out, but just to get things to the point where we aren't loading a bunch of different versions of jQuery and we have a new version, that's a great idea. I'll just keep a backup of the other version in case it breaks a bunch of stuff, which it shouldn't, but alright, I think that's the best idea that I've heard today. John Hansen says, would it be a good idea to comment out the template variables, then bring them back one by one, unless there are too many of them? Yeah, actually, I thought about doing that. I think if we had more time, I probably would have done it, because we're kind of getting towards the end there. I'm gonna see. I'm gonna do a lot of searching. So. We'll see what's going on. I think right after the stream, I'm gonna stop working on my work stuff, and I'm gonna start working on my project for Udacity. But then tomorrow when I come in, I think all morning I'll either be searching for the answer to this, or I'll be finishing up some things on that resource center on project 2, which there's not really that much left to do. But hopefully I'll find it, and then we can actually work on something. I'm running out of titles to put in my video. I just put in today's video about the side nav. I'll just have to put part 2 at the end, I guess. Oh, okay. John Hansen said I could browser hard reload to clear the cache if it's holding on to jQuery version. Actually, that's a good idea, but I think I have it. Yeah, I have it so that if I have DevTools open, nothing gets cached. So that's really helpful. So check out that setting if you're not familiar with it already, because you almost never want the cache working when you're developing. So nothing should have been cached. I'll probably try it though later on, because you never know. I mean, it's always worth trying a hard refresh just in case. Shay says, "Hey Jesse, thanks for the videos. Would you mind giving a brief description of doing local development versus using CodePen or Cloud9, etc.? Or could you point to the best place to read up on how to do a simple project locally, set up a local host for testing, etc.?" Okay, yeah, I'll try to explain this briefly. Also, so at the end of those sentences is etc period, right, which is etc. Now, this is totally unrelated to code, but you may have heard from previous streams that I used to teach Latin, right? And that's a Latin word, etc. But it always bugs me when I hear it, because everybody except for one person I've ever heard pronounces it etc. But if I were teaching Latin and I wanted to say that, I would say etc. Right? So I don't want to say it like that and sound weird, so I still say etc. But anyway, it always bothers me. So I want to know, does anyone else pronounce it like the proper Latin way? I'm wondering, especially like people whose maybe a Romance language is their first language. I'm thinking they would be more likely to pronounce it properly, and maybe it's just Americans speaking English that can't pronounce it right. I don't know. Anyway. And Latin has multiple pronunciations depending on what type of Latin you're studying, so I guess I shouldn't be too weird about it. Alright, so I'm going to try to there are a couple parts to this question. So I guess I'll talk about doing like cloud development, like in-browser development with CodePen and Cloud9. So I would say this: CodePen and Cloud9 are in two different classes, right? So in terms of ease of use, I'd say there's like a spectrum, right? And the easiest would be something like CodePen. Or JS Fiddle would also be in there. I think there's some other ones. But basically, you just can write code and immediately see the result. Usually you have like 3 windows, one for HTML, one for CSS, and one for JavaScript, like 3 little frames. And then there's another frame that shows the result. Super easy. So basically, you're just working with 3 files. It does let you import other libraries, and it's actually really easy to do in CodePen. I haven't used JS Fiddle in a long time, so it might be easy in there as well. But there are some limitations, right? I mean, you're limited. I would never do a really big project in there, right? That needed a complex folder structure. As last time I used something on CodePen, like you can't host files there. You have to import them all. So it's limited, but it's really easy. You just need a browser to get started. And then a little bit harder to use is Cloud9, or things like Cloud9, where you have what basically looks like what you see on the screen right now, but it runs in your browser. All right, which is actually kind of interesting because this is running on Chromium, right? I think VS Code is an Electron app, so technically this is running in a browser too, right? So, but anyway, you all probably know what I'm talking about, right? It's not running in. This is running on my computer, essentially like a native desktop app. But Cloud9 would run in your browser. You'd open up your browser, you'd type in the URL, it's c9.io. Log in, and there you are, and you'd see something like this, and you'd actually see, I got rid of it on Visual Studio Code, but at the bottom you would see a terminal that you could type real commands in. It's a Linux server, so you could type in all your normal Linux commands. You can load things with npm. You have all your folder structure over here, and you have your code here, and you also could have another window to have the live preview. And you could split the window out, in fact, and put it on another screen if you want. But it basically completely mimics your local development environment. You're still somewhat limited because I guess it depends on what version. If you pay for a faster server, more space, it could be really nice. But you still have you're going through the internet, right? So there's always going to be that, I guess, what would you call it, latency, right? That lag. I mean, it's not bad if you had a good connection, but you have to be connected. So you couldn't develop, offline like that. The third way, and maybe there's more ways that I just don't know about, is you've developed locally, and I say that's the hardest. Because you have to set up, Cloud9 sets up a lot for you, but locally you have to set everything up. Like if you want to develop, let's say React, like we were doing for our last 2 projects, you'd have to have a computer, I mean, it doesn't really matter if it's Windows or Linux or Mac, but you'd have a computer. You'd need to be able to install Node and NPM, and then you'd need to install all your other packages yourself. It's on your machine. It's taking up your space on your computer. Like, you know, you have to have a separate terminal. I mean, a lot of, like, Visual Studio Code comes with a terminal and stuff, but to be honest with you, I'm way more satisfied with using iTerm 2 separately than using this. I mean, especially if I want to do some stuff in the terminal and I'm not actually using Atom or Visual Studio Code, I don't want to have to open that up just to do it. So now you have two different programs, right? You're running you got to run a server on your own machine to do local development. So you could see, like, it just grows in complexity. The cool thing, though, about Cloud9 and things like Cloud9 are that you could potentially do, like, real development with, you know, loading NPM packages and all kinds of cool things that you couldn't do with CodePen, but you could do it on something like a Chromebook, where, you know, you normally don't have access to load something like Node and NPM and all that stuff on a Chromebook. I know there are ways to unlock it, but let's say you didn't want to void your warranty, you could do it in browser. Potentially you could do it on a tablet. It would probably be harder depending on what kind of tablet you had, but, you know, you could do it there. I've never tried to open up Cloud9 on a phone, but that, I mean, it might be possible. So anyway, hopefully that helps. That ended up being a really long answer. I probably could have made a whole video out of that. But anyway, that's my opinion on that. Also, the other part of that question was, could you point to the best place to read up on how to do simple project locally, set up a local host for testing? I would... trying to think where I saw... I would like to do some videos on that, but they're not doing them yet. As you all know who's been watching, I really want to do a lot more videos, but I just have not had time. So I don't know when that'll happen, but until then, I think Will Stern, who does the what is it, Learn Code Academy YouTube channel, Will Stern made a bunch of videos on setting up development environments and things, but they're kind of a little bit older. They're maybe a few years old. So, but it'll get, a lot of the concepts will be there, right? I mean, he goes into like Webpack, but he also goes over Gulp and Grunt and things like that. So you'll get an idea for what's out there and how to do it. And then you can maybe read up on some newer things if you want to, but you should be able to get the basics there, you know, if you like that. I don't really know of anything offhand like for you to read. I'm sure there's a lot of good stuff out there. I just learned how to do all that from YouTube videos, but that's a good place to go. And let me know if you have any other questions. If you try it out and have other questions and stuff, just let me know in the live chat, or you can message me on Twitter or something, and I'll help you out if I can. Okay, just a few more things here in the live chat. I'm down to the bottom now. Ali says, let's see. Okay, this was in response to someone else's question in the live chat, so I'm not gonna read that. Okay, Evo says, sometimes with these kinds of projects, I just feel it saves you a lot of stress and hassle if you just start over. I definitely agree. And if I could, I would just start developing the new site right away. Honestly, I think it's somewhat of a waste of time for me to do this now, because I hope to redo the main site within the next like year or so. And oh, hey, I think my daughter is at the door, so hold on a second, let me open the door. Hey.
We got to bring you.
Hey, you want to be on YouTube?
Yeah. Mama didn't come.
All right. Here you go. Look, you can see. Thanks. Here, if you can see your face in there, you'll be on YouTube.
Hey,
So there you go.
There.
Yeah, the camera's right where that green light is.
Okay.
Yeah. So what do you think? You gonna say something to the people on YouTube?
Hi. Hi, people on YouTube.
There are 21 people watching right now.
Whoa. Hi.
Yeah, so this is Gemma, my daughter Gemma, and this is my son Raphael up here. So they just brought me some food because I'm going to stay here at the office late and work on my project for Udacity. So it's a lot easier to get work done here. At home there's too many kids. So I normally like having all the kids around, but not if I have work to do. So
Mama just sent us in.
Mama just let you come in by yourself?
Okay. I volunteered. I knew the way, but I kind of couldn't do it.
Right. Well, I'm going to finish up my YouTube show now. Do you guys have to go?
We need the way.
Okay.
We know the
All right. I love you. Okay. All right. That was fun. Yeah, and my daughter Gemma wants to be like a YouTube chef, like make cakes and stuff. So there's a YouTuber named Gemma, her show is Cupcake Gemma, and she has like some bakeries in England. And my daughter Gemma loves that show. So maybe one day I'll make Gemma a YouTube channel. I bought her all kind of baking stuff for her birthday. It was at the end of August, so we'll see. Anyway, let me get back to the coding now. So only have just maybe 2 questions left. Okay. So the last thing Evo was saying, it's better just to start over sometimes. Okay, now I remember. Basically, my opinion is that I should not be trying to fix this site. That instead I should just start on the new site. And we could probably get a new site up and running in like I'm going to say like 6 months. Not that it would take me 6 months, but just there are so many people that are going to be involved in making decisions on that I know it will take forever to get approval for stuff. So because really we've already done stuff even on this stream that we could use to build our own site. Like if we took what we did for that project 1, right, and used Next.js, some server-side rendering with Next and React, and just linked it up with a content management system through an API like WordPress or something else, then we'd have the site. I mean, the main site right now, franciscan.edu, has like 3,000 plus pages, maybe more than that. But in reality, we don't create all those pages, right? We create a home page template and then just a few other templates for the different types of pages. And then those just get populated with data from the content management system. So the hardest part of that whole process will just be getting the data that's in the Electron CMS right now and getting it transferred to something better. I don't want it to stay on there. I don't want it to be hosted on campus anymore because it's slow. The time to first byte is just unacceptable. So that's the biggest thing. And once I have that down, actually developing the site is not really a big deal. So to me, spending weeks on this is just kind of it's time that I could already have that other site ready. So I mean, yeah, I'll get this done a little bit faster and there'll be a slight increase in speed. It'll look nicer, but right now it's just like it's like putting a Band-Aid on something. Like underneath still needs it's still damaged. It still needs work. It's still slow. Yeah, so anyway, that's my opinion about this, and I'm comfortable saying this on YouTube because I've already said this to my boss and to other people that work here. So, but that's how it is, right? When you work with other people, you can't always do it however you want to do it. Sometimes you gotta wait and you gotta do other things. And anyway, so we'll do the best we can. you know. And I think it's gonna be good, and people are gonna be impressed. Users are gonna have a much better experience. So is it the best thing we could do right now? No, but it's gonna be better. Okay, Tony asks, how long have you been coding? I think like 5 years. I don't know. Every time I get asked this, I have to think about it again. I just need to write it down and just stick it on my desk. Let me try to think. So I've been at this position as a front-end developer for a little over 2 years. Before that, I think it was about 3 years that I was doing some website-related stuff. So I wasn't really doing like advanced coding stuff the whole time. When I started out, it was, kind of maybe just customizing some WordPress themes, just really minimal CSS work, minimal HTML, almost no JavaScript. And then I started to get more into it. So I started to get a lot better with CSS, and then started getting into JavaScript. And now, obviously, you all see what I do. I've been streaming all summer, so I think you have a good idea of where I'm at now. But basically, it's been like a 5-year span of, but I would say 3 years I've been like really trying to learn JavaScript as much as I could. I can't always do what I want because it depends on the projects that I have, but 3 years really for the JavaScript. But just in terms of like web design and development in general, 5. I did do stuff here and there before that, and as I mentioned earlier, I have a video on my own channel. I think the title is How I Became a Front-End Developer, and I go into it more in terms of like the points in my life where I actually did do web development work, because there were some other points like in high school and college and stuff that I did some stuff with that. Okay, Ali says CodePen allows asset hosting if you use projects rather than pens. Oh, okay, cool. Is that a new feature, or did I just miss that before? Like I said, I haven't used CodePen in a while, but that's really cool. And is that a paid feature, or can you do that on the free version now? Anyway, that'd be good to know. So I said earlier that you can't host files on CodePen, but I was mistaken. So I guess there is a way. I'm not sure how to do it, but I think there is a way. So that's good. That's really awesome. I see a lot of people doing the early free CodeCamp lessons when they're first going into CodePen, aren't sure how to get images in there sometimes. I see questions about that. Okay, Ali says you get one free project. Okay, so you can do one free project and actually host files there. And then I guess I don't know how much it costs, but you could get the pro version and have more. Okay, I see several people are saying that my kids are cute, so thank you. Yeah, I think I did an alright job on the kids so far, and none of them are. I haven't messed any of them up yet. Hopefully I don't. My oldest is only 8, so I have a while to go. Okay, Nobier said, I didn't know you had children. I actually have 4 children. So you saw my oldest 2. So Raphael, Gemma, and then I have Ambrose, who's 3, and Cordelia, who's about to turn 1 in a few weeks. She'll turn 1 on October 5th. So, yeah, so I'm busy. All right, I've gotten to the bottom of the live chat. So I'll be back tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have this to the point where we're not getting errors and we can actually start to work on things a little bit more. All right, so Nopia just said, I am shocked. You're shocked that I have 4 kids? Okay, now I'm getting a few more things in the last here. So, Ali says, that's impressive how often you stream and have 4 kids. Me being able to stream this much is really due to my boss letting me stream at work, which is really awesome. And he's a smart guy, and so he realized right away that me streaming would not only be good for me and good for hopefully good for you all if you can learn about what I do, or at least learn from my mistakes. And but it would also be free publicity for the university. So just to put it in perspective, I think the university's YouTube account has maybe 20,000 subscribers. freeCodeCamp has over 200,000 subscribers. So it's a little bit of like, hey, this will be good for the university. But also, and this was unexpected at first, I've gotten so much help on my projects by pull requests and by you all, helping, that it's really been a huge benefit to the university, to my department, and in all our projects. So I hope that he continues to let me do this. And so far, everybody's excited. I mention you all in meetings frequently, and sometimes even by name, and I'll say, hey, so-and-so submitted a pull request and it was awesome, or, and everybody's really excited about that. So you don't get to interact with other people here at the department, but they know that you're there and that you help, and they're all happy and excited about it. So anyway, so I hope I can keep doing this. If it ever happened that I wasn't allowed to do this at work anymore, then I probably wouldn't be able to stream as frequently. I just have to see at that point. I wouldn't want to stop streaming, but it would be different. The schedule would be different. The projects would be different. But hopefully that won't happen, and I'll keep doing this. But yeah, so that's how I can stream with 4 kids. Let's see. Sarat says, can I be as good as you in 2 months with 6 hours of coding a day with consistency? Maybe. I mean, it depends on how fast of a learner you are, what your background is already, like what level you're at in terms of your skills with coding. So I don't know. There's going to be, in terms of like just coding, you can definitely get, so like if you wanted to focus on just React and build React stuff, you could definitely get there. But there's going to be like a broad area that you just can't get without time. And there's certain things like having persevered through like projects that are really hard, or dealt with clients that are really difficult, or like there's so many things that you can't just do it. It's something that happens to you, and it makes you better. It changes the way you look at things. So things like that, you obviously can't get by just training hard for a couple of months. But like as I was trying to say a few seconds ago, like if you wanted to focus on a specific area, you could definitely get as good or better than me quickly. My 5 years of coding has been spread out over so many different things. Like I did a lot of search engine optimization work, copywriting, and a lot of WordPress stuff. I was trying to learn Angular at one time. It's just been spread out over so many areas that I definitely think it's possible to get really good, better than me at one particular area if you were to focus on that. Whereas I never really was able to focus until I started working here and really narrowed down, like, this is going to be our stack. This is what we're going to use, and being able to commit to it, which right now it's basically committing to React. When you commit, it's tough because you're basically saying no to everything else. But by doing that, it allows me to focus and get better. It allows the people around me that are going to work with me to be able to know, and for me to be predictable in my work. So anyway, so yeah, it's entirely possible, but I would say it's only possible in the sense that you would have to concentrate on one area and and there are some experiences you just can't recreate. So how much that contributes to me being a better coder or not, I don't know. But I mean, I'll tell you this: like, when you bring down a business's email system for 3 days, you definitely never ever mess with MX records again without copying them down first. So like, there are things like that that just like sear into your mind like something that needs to be done. And yes, I did do that before. So it was a business in a big city in the United States that made a lot of money, and I have no idea how much money that I actually cost them, but I did pay for them to hire somebody else to fix it. So and that other person made a lot more per hour than I did. But I think I got off easy on that because I still worked with that client for a long time after that. It was actually one of my best clients. So anyway, so let me see. I don't think there's any other. Okay, one more question. I keep getting more questions. All right, that's fine. Okay, so Hodor says, quick question. Can link your coding environment. Which extensions are you using on Pastebin? I think there's a command to get a list of extensions. Okay, yeah, I'll have to. There is a way to get a list of extensions. I'll probably get you the Atom extensions because I haven't really loaded anything on Visual Studio Code, so that wouldn't be a useful list. But I'll have to get my list of Atom extensions, and I'll put them. I'll probably make a gist and have it in GitHub, linked up to my profile. So I'll have to remember to do that. I don't know if I'll get it done, this week, but it'll be on my list of stuff, and I'll make sure I say something on the live stream about it. No Beer says, what time in your country? Here, 1:56 a.m. No Beer, are you in India or close to India? Because I'm pretty sure that's the time zone there. It is 4 o'clock here. Yeah. It's 3:58 p.m. where I'm at. I'm in Eastern Standard Time, so it's the same time zone as New York and the East Coast of the United States. Oh, cool. No Beer is in Bangladesh, so... Yeah, I've had enough viewers from India that I always remember what time it is in India. And when I tell people, like, they look at me really weird, like, why would you know what time it is in India? So I think it's cool. It's cool to know that. Let's see. Okay, Zanny says, why are you using Classic ASP? Because I'm forced to. That's why. So this is it's a pre-existing site that's kind of old, and I just have to make the best of it. So I'm just going to try to clean it up, make it faster, make it more user-friendly. And so I can't. There's some things that I can't change on it, and there's a lot of things that just aren't really worth it to dig into because this site won't last much longer. If I'm not working on a new site sometime within the next year, I will be very surprised because I've been planning it like since before I even got the job here. I remember before the interview I did a huge report on all the things I would change on this site, and I turned that in my interview to the person who's now my boss, yeah, so and I actually, like, I went through, I think I even had code samples of like code that they could use to change the site right now. So I think that helped me get the job. they like that, but I'm ready, right? It's been like over 2 years that I wanted to change this site, so I don't want to wait another year. So anyway, that's why I'm stuck with the Classic ASP. And I'm not really interested in trying to figure out how to change it. So it is what it is right now. We're going to make the best of it and try to make this site. I want to try to shock people that are used to this site with the new thing. I want them to think that I completely redid the site, when in fact we just are going to change a few things, you know, to make it better. But I really enjoy doing things that other people think you can't be done, right? So I mean, I know you all realize that these things are possible, but a lot of people who aren't really into web development sometimes they just assume that things can't be done because they may have been told at some point by a developer, like, oh, we can't do that. And who knows why that developer said that. Maybe they just meant, you don't have the money for me to do that, or I don't have the time, or maybe they didn't have the skills to do it or didn't want to do it. Who knows? But it's happened frequently at the university here that people have said, I'll say, well, why don't we do this? And they say, oh, no, we can't. And sometimes it's literally as easy as 10 minutes in DevTools, and you can find a fix. Those moments are really awesome when I get to see somebody says, like, I wanted to do this for years, and you just did it in 10 minutes. Like, those are really cool. Those are the moments that I write down, or I usually don't write it down. I put a note in Google Keep just so I remember, and then on bad days I can look at that and say, like, oh, I did do something awesome. But anyway, I'm to the bottom of the live chat for real this time, so I am gonna go now, unless somebody sneaks a question in there before I can be finished. But thanks again for watching. Thanks for all your help, and for all the questions. You all had great questions today, and I know I talked for a little while on the questions, so sorry if I talk too much. I know occasionally I'll have people in the comments or in the live chat tell me I talk too much, but it's not a tutorial stream. You know, it's I like this question and answer thing, and I think it makes this stream more unique. If it was just me trying to teach you how to code, it would not be a great stream because there's so much I still need to learn. But my personal experience is unique to me, and you can't get that anywhere else. So if I share that, then there might be some value here. All right, so I'm going to go now. I'll be back tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.